Cathal and Aaron, thank you so much for joining me for Talent Month.
Thank you, Garry. It's great to be here.
We have we've wonderful symmetry in these backgrounds since the start of this. You'd think we knew what we were doing, but I guess it's a good start when you're talking to people of an engineering or a technical background. So I'll start with yourself, Cathal. You're working in a digital infrastructure world. You're part of what we call the oxygen of this industrial age. At 16, did you think you'd be what you're doing now?
Certainly not, no. And I'm sure if I was asked that question again, it'd be the same answer.
So how did it all start, and how do you end up doing what you're doing if it wasn't to be what you're doing?
I suppose, like for many teenagers, the dream was to be a professional sports person. So I didn't think too far beyond that until I was probably about 21. I studied arts in UCD and left there in early 2012. So kind of the economy was at a turning point. It was improving, but not to the point where an arts graduate was walking into a job. So I was lucky enough to know a couple of people in Keddington and got some part-time site work out in Intel for a number of years, or for a year. I then decided to go back and study. I did a master's in project management. Came out of there in about 2014, so the economy was in a much healthier place. Worked a couple of years in kind of project management consultancy, more on the software side, which I enjoyed. But I suppose the one difficulty I had with it is when you're project managing or you're building something, you can't see the tangible thing in front of you. You know, at the end of the week, it's like, well, what did we build? And not being able to see it was a difficulty for me. So I kind of always had still an interest in construction from my time with Keddington, or Onnec now. I'll struggle with that. And an opportunity arose to go back do a project management for a large hyperscale client there. So I've been in there for the last 6 years and enjoying the experience greatly. So highly recommended for others.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? There's a couple of things you've said there. One is how much Intel weaves into the stories of foreign direct investment and the amount of people who spent a bit of time there. And when I think back, I'm a little bit older, and when I think back when they came here first, everyone said, that foreign direct investment, they'll only be here for the tax and they'll be gone in a couple of years. 40 years later.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think we studied about Intel when I was doing my leaving cert and the impact it had. And even now, I'm lucky to do a bit of travel around Europe, and to see the Irish companies succeeding the way they are is unbelievable. And I think a lot of that story seems to go back to Intel.
Intel and the pharmaceutical companies, for sure. So, Aaron, I'm walking around the RDS last week. I happened to sit down because I'm old and my legs are hurting me. And next thing, they're announcing the apprentices of the year. And up you pop. And there you are. Yeah. And there you are.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, no, we got the nomination there a few weeks ago. And then we obviously were in the RDS there, not last Wednesday, it was the Wednesday before. So the event itself was really, really good. I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. It was like a whole setup, had the lights, the cameras, the crowd.
And you have the look, of course. You have the look, you've got the beard, you've got the hair, you've got the whole thing. There weren't any agents picking you up. You weren't asked to do any screen agents for any shows or anything, no?
No, I didn't get that far now, to be honest.
So, I mean, obviously you're young still, and there you were. What was your sort of start into the industry? Was it a similar route to Cathal, deviating and zigzag, or had you a plan when you were 14? I want to work in the data industry.
No, it definitely wasn't like that. So before I actually joined Onnec, I had little to none experience in that world. It was a family friend that was manager there at the time, and they were having a conversation. They were saying they're looking for local young lads, and asked was I interested in doing it. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity for like a career path. Before that, I was doing many different jobs that are not similar at all. Like I was in the docks, I was doing with a radio station, I was in retail. So it was a completely different experience altogether. But yeah, 5 years on, I'm still there. And it's going well so far.
But isn't it extraordinary? You say you were doing other work and you were working in retail and stuff. they're all sort of little stepping stones as well. They get you used to interfacing with people. They get you used to different. I mean, retail. My own daughter's doing a bit of retail and hospitality. If you want to get to know how queer folk can be, do that for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Yeah, I was in many different jobs, so it was great, different networks, meeting people. You know what I mean, different types. But yeah, the retail especially is a bit more difficult now, especially around Christmas time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were up talking about sort of the journey, I guess, that you'd had from what you've explained now. And what is it that interests you so much right now about? Because I hear a lot of people are, it's grand, but it's so repetitive. It's grand, but it sort of doesn't give me any sort of progression. I mean, are you finding that this industry as an industry, really, digital infrastructure, is only 15 years old to many extent, so it's only growing. Is that what you're feeling? The energy of younger people coming in, learning? What's your own view as a young emerging talent? What's your own view of the industry?
Yeah, no, like you said, it's been constantly growing every year. So when I first started, I think originally the project that we were on, I think it was like 3 buildings that were being built, and now we're up to building 5 and 6. So you can just see the progression even in the short space of time. And yeah, no, it's good. Like the opportunity there, like especially with Onnec now as well. Like I'm doing training, I'm doing course. Obviously, TU Dublin now I'm doing with the data engineering. Like it's always there for progression. And like I said, I'm there 5 years now, so hopefully continue going up. You know what I mean?
And Cathal, you mentioned earlier about sport. And I often talk to people regularly about sort of how sport helped them greatly when they got all grown up and went into business. When you realized at 21, most of us realized at 12, by the way, but at 21, you realized you weren't going to be playing for Manchester United. Do you still refer back to it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the life skills you probably learn playing sport, dealing with people, challenges, trying to set goals and achieve them. So, the projects we work on are, at the moment, there's over 100, nearly 200 people working for Onnec directly. So being able to navigate those people, the various different groups, the teams, and try and set objectives for each person, it's very much the same as playing team sports in that respect.
Everybody wants to be the centre forward, but you need a goalie.
I see, and I should add, I may have realised the 21, but I probably should have realised the 12.
What sport was it, if you don't mind me asking?
I played rugby, so I played rugby and then play for Clontarf. So yeah.
I played a little bit in school, but not much. But I watch in awe at how these guys can put themselves through the physicality of what they put themselves through. It's and then I watch soccer, and I often think, well, that's what the body can take, and they're assimilating what the body should take. It's extraordinary. Do you ever get when you have discussions, and it weaves into this as well about different people who love different sports, but at least we love sports, and that's what we can find as a common thread to discuss. And do you find that as well in business when you're building teams and you've got diversity and all the rest of it? That common thread is important along with the work, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You need to create a good culture. There's no point coming into work doing you do your job, but you want to enjoy yourself. You want the people around you to have fun. I think if you can create that culture, you're setting your projects up for success generally. So, and that's a few of the supervisors I've worked with over the years. They've come from sporting backgrounds, and maybe we haven't spoken about it, but it's certainly been evident, I think, through the way we've managed various projects.
And then you get the guy who was the world champion swimmer, who's only used to working on his own up and back in front. We need them too, don't we?
We certainly do.
And can I talk to you a small bit then about travel? It's one of the things that this is the wonderful dividend that we're finding, and you alluded to it, to Ireland Inc., is the amount of opportunity that digital infrastructure and servicing and designing and building outside of Ireland is just incredible. We used to leave to go to work but we weren't necessarily always going to come back. Whereas now there's a sense that you can be based in Ireland doing jobs and come back and forth. Is that a trend? Is that what your teams are all comfortable to do? It's a whole new world for Irish people, obviously.
Yeah, well, like I've done a good bit of work in Denmark over the last number of years. I think Aaron has as well. And you only have to get on a flight to Denmark and then Copenhagen back to Dublin or Billund and back, and you see the amount of Irish people working on other projects for other companies. So it's when you're doing that, it's very evident. But yeah. I think that story goes right across Europe. The Onnec group, we're obviously a larger organization than we were in the past. We probably haven't done in Keddington previously big international projects until more recently, but there's people keen to do it. There's good incentives in terms of learning and financial, so it seems to be a win-win for everyone that's involved.
Is it true, the rumor that when you were over in the Denmark, that you and some of the other guys were insisting that you bring in Heineken and you were nearly deported from the country?
That might have been Aaron, nothing to do with me.
Aaron, that's a lovely link directly into yourself. So we've gone from this beautiful discussion about sports straight into the second favorite pastime. But traveling, you're doing a bit of traveling at a young age to be able to. Are you bringing some of those skills and disciplines to projects, or why at such a young age would you be asked to go and travel?
Yeah, well, that's another thing, like you said already, the opportunity that this industry provides for us. Like, that was my first time living abroad, so it was a completely new experience for me personally. But no, it's great. Done 6 months, and it was 3 weeks on, 1 week home, so it was actually a really good experience, different environment, and yeah, no, I'm delighted I've done it in the end.
Your mum and dad probably are used to my generation. They probably said, "Oh, I'll never see you again, son. Good luck. Send us a card." And yet you were back every 4 weeks now. And what do we have to do to get rid of you? Yeah, you back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We've one guy, Garry. He was sent over with 3 weeks of chicken cooked in his hand luggage. So there was the mommy might have been still at home, but she was still having a big play for a lot of the guys that were out there.
I laugh, but I shouldn't, because my mum, when she used to go off on holidays in the late 70s, used to bring the bags of tea, the tea and the steaks. That's when you were allowed to bring food, of course. So you're looking at the industry, the digital infrastructure industry, and you're looking at all the different changes that it's making. One of the themes that's coming out a lot when I'm talking to people, Cathal, is that the flexibility of the workforce to adapt. Okay, I'm a infrastructure fiber cabling guy now. I'm a documenter. Maybe we have to get more into the whole augmented reality or digital twins and all that type of stuff. Are you finding that with your teams? Is that it's, yeah, okay, just give me the tools and I'll give it a go. There's no, whereas we were all a bit too maybe siloed, weren't we? I'm a cabling engineer and that is what I do and I fold my hands. Are you finding that thirst for knowledge is coming through?
Yeah, look, I think it's a great learning environment. There's very much a collective approach on the projects I've worked on anyway, amongst the various companies to try and deliver a very good end product and learn along the way. I mentioned it at the start, I've an arts degree in economics. I would have, while I had an interest in construction, I don't have the big mathematical background. I don't have the engineering degree, but still, my day-to-day involves a good element of technical work. I've been trained. I've had that opportunity. I can kind of stand on my own 2 feet now in that regard. And I think that's the same for, there's lots of engineers who obviously were very well placed on the technical, but lacked maybe on some of the people or project management skills, and they've enhanced it there. So I think everyone's trying to bring the best out of one another. And I think that goes across all roles in that space.
Aaron, would you agree?
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah, 100%.
It's extraordinary when a lot of the lads I hang out with are a bit older, and an engineer tended to have the left side of the brain working really well, but as Cathal said, the right side was sort of disconnected. There seems to be an awareness early on that you need to have, what are these, they call them emotional skills now, and emotional intelligence and all this stuff. Does it become complicated for you when you're being told sort of what space you're going to be in? And it's more about, so there are all the tools. Now, can you go and integrate in Denmark with that culture and what that, are there different skills that you just have to do the hard yards to learn yourself? Or is there a manual that Matt Porter gives you and say, read that, you'll be grand? Like we would have, well, there wouldn't have been a manual. We would have just been put on sites and said, you'll be grand. So how do you change? Is it just on the job? Is it just, what do you find in yourself as a young and up and coming talent?
Yeah, no, I just feel like it's all about adoption. You know, you're going to get thrown in the deep end sometimes, but it's just how you react to it. You know, and you're always going to have someone there that can help you along the way in that. But yeah, just be an initiative and try your best at everything. You know what I mean?
Does that scare you? Because change scares people.
It does, but you know, change is good sometimes. You know what I mean? It helps you grow, helps you get a better understanding of things, and gives you the skills to continue on. You know what I mean?
You should be a rapper. I could see those words all going to music. You know, you're like Post Malone. So first you look like an actor. Now you lyric like Post Malone. I don't know. You're going to lose this lad, Cathal.
Many talents.
He's been doing media work for the last 2 weeks, so I'm sure the guys are waiting for him to get back to site.
You know, if Louis Walsh comes a knocking, you know, and can you play the guitar?
No, I can't. No.
Well, you can mime. You know,
yeah, exactly.
There's many bands in the past that have had different skills. So I sort of alluded to this earlier, and Aaron, it's not that long ago for you, but Cathal, you're 16, right? You're playing for your school rugby team, and all you ever want to be is a rugby player. What would you tell that young fella? What would you tell the 16-year-old Cathal?
Keep trying to be a rugby player, just study a little bit harder, maybe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my parents would say the same. So,
but is that it? Is that it? But all said and done, what's extraordinary, and okay, sport has been woven in quite a bit to our chats, but the application that you showed to be your best in rugby is the application that you obviously call on now to apply yourself to what you're doing in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think answer there, I certainly would say I probably got thrown in the deep end. It was a bit of a sink or swim moment, and I was quite keen to make sure I didn't sink. And obviously there was, you know, there's a lot of opportunities for other people on the team and for growth for individuals and for the company. So I was certainly very driven to make the most of that situation for, you know, firstly for myself, I suppose, and then for everyone else around in the company and Matt and others.
Aaron, it's only about 4 years ago for you, I guess. You're 16. What do you tell yourself?
A bit longer than that. Yeah, no, just to get the head down, and anything that you try, like, always try new things is the main thing for me. Like any opportunity that's came up, I'd like to say I've always taken it, whether that's training or courses or bits and bobs. But yeah, just literally try everything, give it your best shot, and see where it goes from there.
Of course, you have to say all that, don't you? Because you're on extended Cathal's team, so you're hardly going to say anything else. So we'll have a different. Yeah. We'll come back to you at a different show from Hollywood, I guess, in 10 years, in between your different takes for a new movie. That's been great. I can't think of anything else. You've given people a great sense of sort of, doesn't really matter where you start or how you start. It's to apply yourself and grab the opportunity, you know, whether it's retail or whether it's rugby. There's great disciplines, you know, to be learned throughout. And thank you. It's been short and sharp, but I've enjoyed it. The diversity of your thought processes has been great too. So Cathal, Aaron, I wish you the very best of luck going forward, and thank you for your time.
Thanks for having us, Garry. It's been a pleasure.